Hi, and welcome to Key and Craig's Crazy Craft Corner. Today we're going to be working on a Halloween build for our Cryptkeeper themed front yard. We're going to make a desk that the Cryptkeeper is going to be sitting at using all of the milk jug skulls that we've made previously in other videos. So stay tuned for that. So you may have noticed that this is not Craig. Craig has gotten crazy busy with work lately. He is a grade school counselor, so you can imagine now that all the schools are back in after the COVIDs, how busy he is. So today we have a guest crafter. This is Scott Noack.
Hi everyone.
Scott's a friend of mine from Texas, and we've known each other for a really long time. And Scott does some of the most amazing, award-winning costumes for Halloween.
Yes, yes I have.
He's done the Alien Queen.
I've done the Alien Queen, an alien, the Marine with a smart gun,
Okay.
and the power loader, which was
Amazing.
it was too big to walk around in.
It actually required him to have helpers. So like all night long, his friends, their only job at the Halloween parties was to just walk along beside him and like hold things.
Make sure I didn't fall over.
Yeah. So you also did a Velociraptor.
I did a Velociraptor.
And it had like a full tail and everything.
Yeah,
right?
it was like about a 5-foot tail sticking out of my butt.
Where a tail would stick
where
out.
Where
Yes.
it would, and that was actually the most painful costume because I had to walk hunched over like this, which is a terrible strain on your back, and I don't recommend doing a costume like that.
Yeah, no Velociraptors.
Yeah, no.
And so you also did an animated Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz?
I did a Tin Man. It was sort of a combination of the classic one from the books and the one from the movie. I blew smoke out of the hat, which was a real big hit when I went on stage at the Hollywood Bowl at a costume contest for Wizard of Oz sing-along.
Yeah.
That was a real treat. Hint, by the way, if you go to a costume contest with 200 kids or so, you know you're going to lose to a kid.
Yeah, that's true.
I also made a Buzz Lightyear costume that I constructed by taking apart a Buzz Lightyear doll and measuring every little piece of it to extrapolate it up to my size, and it was a hoot.
And you also did a steampunk version.
Yeah, I later steampunked it, which is even better than the original.
Yeah, basically when we go to Comic-Con together, we can't walk 5 feet without somebody stopping to take a picture with Scott. He's amazing. And then I'm always just that person in the background. Like they're like, oh yeah, no, sure, go ahead, get in the picture. It's like, aww. So anyway, so that's Scott's background. And so he is here today to help me build a Cryptkeeper desk. So we've talked about the fact that we're putting a Cryptkeeper theme in our front yard this year. So we've already done the corpsing of the skeleton. We did that on another video. And then you've seen in the past we've done the milk jug skull videos. So I have made 70 more milk jug skulls, and this is what we're going to use to make our desk with. We wanted something light that we could put up on the roof easily, and something that I could do in sections, and then what we'll do is combine them. So for today's thing, we're going to use the milk jug skulls. We're going to use just a piece of styrofoam that we're going to mount the skulls on. And then Scott and I together are going to learn how to use a Great Stuff Pro Gun. We've never used one before, either of us, but I had discovered that buying Great Stuff in the cans that work with this is half the price of buying them in the disposable cans that have their own nozzles on them. So considering how much Great Stuff I use and how much we're going to be using just for this project alone, I needed to learn how to use this. Now this one I got on Amazon, and it was only, I think, $15. So I can't vouch for whether or not it's an actual pro tool or if it's just a knockoff.
We will find out.
Yeah, but we're going to see how this works. So it may get messy up in here. That's all I know. So we are going to start getting everything set up to start using our great stuff and start putting our skulls on. So we'll be right back to do that. We had a little bit of a technical error and didn't record any of the first segment that we did, which in a way is kind of good because
there was a non-technical error.
Our first time using the Great Stuff gun resulted in just a horrible mess. As you can see, we don't know if we didn't have the valve open properly or if we didn't commit to screwing on the can enough. We're unsure what exactly went wrong, but needless to say, there was great stuff coming out of everywhere. So we got it on the platform as best we could, and we went ahead and put our skulls in, but unfortunately none of that was on camera. So we are going to do a side panel now, and we are going to attempt to do all of this again.
Yes.
Hopefully with better results. So,
yes.
So with this side panel, what I'm actually using as my base, instead of spending some money on styrofoam, we had a new washer and dryer delivered, and this is the packaging that it came with.
That worked out well.
I know, and it was exactly the right size.
So you ordered a washer.
Yeah, so this was actually really very expensive styrofoam. But instead of throwing this out, I decided to repurpose it as my side panels. The only problem with this is it has these little holes in it. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work when we start putting the great stuff on. Our plan is to just put it on the high-rise flat parts. It'll obviously start filling these holes, but that's fine. So I have two pieces of this. Obviously there's a back and a front piece to it. And these are going to be the side panels of our desk. Now the side panels aren't going to show as much as the front panel, so I'm actually using quite a bit of filler on this one. I'm using fewer skulls, and then I'm using a lot of styrofoam pieces, things like this to kind of be like the back of skulls. Yeah, I have an actual like dollar store skull that I'm going to use, which looks like a child's skull, which I try and stay away from anything that looks like dead children. Rats, dollar store rat, just little fillers to put in the side, just so I didn't have to make as many skulls, because these are easy to make, but it's so hard on your back and stuff. After your first 50, you're like, I don't ever want to see another milk jug. So, and I've made probably over the last 2 years 300 of these things. Yeah. So I'm good.
But they look great, and they're inexpensive except for the back side of it.
Yeah, they're inexpensive and they're lightweight, and that is the most important thing. It's so easy to move this around and store it. Okay, Scott, so you want to explain the gun again, since we didn't get...
Yes, so there's a few key things you need to know about on this gun. First of all, you'll note that you've got a trigger here, which is going to spray out the foam. On this particular type of spray gun, there's a little ball bearing at the very front of it, which is what the trigger activates. It allows it to flow out, and it doesn't get filled with the foam. Sort of like the cheap little straws that will come with these.
Which you can't reuse.
You can never reuse. I don't care what they tell you. You can clean it up and reuse it. It's never worked for me. This is great. You've got just that little ball bearing. You may have a little bit of residue at the end of the day. Pull it off or use a little bit of acetone. There's also a regulator back here, which will determine the side of the bead, or the size of the bead that you'll be laying down. Right now I've got this about medium weight.
Okay.
This particular gun also has a valve, which I'm still not entirely sure how this thing actually regulates.
Yeah.
And this may have been part of the snafu that led to all of this creative detailing on it.
Yeah, so this moves up and down. So supposedly this is closing the valve and this is opening the valve. Now, we're not 100% sure if we had it closed the first time we did it or if it was open. So we're definitely doing it down
rotating
and
it down,
open
yeah.
this time to see if it makes a difference. Something else we saw was somebody who was talking about using these says you have to commit. So when you go to screw that can on, you can't stop halfway and hesitate or whatever. You have to slap that on, screw it, you have to commit. And
Right.
we're not 100% sure we committed last time.
I was pretty committed, but when it starts flowing out, that's
We gave up. The minute it started flowing,
kinda
we
question-
just,
yeah, you question your commitments.
yeah, things got really
Still,
crazy.
I'm going to do the same thing that I did last time, which is pull the trigger down some as I'm screwing it on, in
Okay.
case there's any expelling.
Is that what it says to do?
This does not say.
That does not. Okay, but
The other videos
things that you've watched
suggested
have
it.
said
Yes.
to do that. Okay, all right. I am once again going to stand back after seeing what happened last time.
Okay.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
Okay, I am hoping. You know what?
That
I
it's
think
not
I'd like
clogged?
to. Yeah, I think I'd
wanna-
like to pour a little bit of acetone in there to remove that little bit.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna do that just to bolster Scott's confidence. He wants to make sure that that is completely cleaned out from our last disaster. So we'll be right back.
Okay.
Scott thinks he's cleared out the hole enough with the acetone now to give this another try. So
So, we are now committing. It just does not build confidence in me that you keep taking extra steps back. Come on.
all right, you got this. You got this.
Yep.
Looking good.
Okay.
Looking
Hold
good.
on. Making sure that the threads are lined up. Okay.
Holy sh!
That worked well.
That worked!
Yay!
All right, so now we know what we did wrong last time.
Okay.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm so
Well,
proud of you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm
All right,
very excited
so-
about this myself. Okay.
So let's start here on this bottom. If you just want to do like a bloop, 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 bloop,
You bet.
bloop, 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 bloop,
Bloop,
across
bloop,
the
bloop,
bottom.
bloop, bloop.
Yeah. See, now we can do this not so panicky and rushy. Oh, okay. So I think you need a smaller bead, maybe, right?
Yeah, you're right. Let's tone that down some.
Yeah. I was so confident. Oh,
Is that
no,
good?
I think that's good. Yeah. Just you probably don't need it that thick as. Oh shoot, let's go this way. You don't need it as thick, so
Okay.
just do it on those things there. There you go. Looking good. Looking good.
Oh.
Woo, stay on the thing. Yeah, I think we're kind of going over these holes, so that's good. So, I mean, you can see he's just doing a light mount there, and I'm kind of adjusting these as I go. I did have a plan in place at one point, but that plan has probably almost immediately goes out the window.
As always. Not as always for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who's got confidence now? All right, tilt that a little. I'm trying to remember how many skulls I had for this. Definitely want my skulls to be on the ends for sure. So you don't want something not skullish on the ends. Okay. And can you reach to go up to the next
You
level
bet.
there? Yeah.
Well, I don't really like that sound, but
No, you're doing good.
yeah, it's exciting. It's like 4th of July here.
I can see where this is definitely a good professional tool.
Yeah.
So,
If you get it screwed on well.
you know, I was supposed to do this here. These are really not spacing. This is on me though, the spacing. So let's do the 4 crossed here. So 2 on the side. Yeah, there you go. 2, yeah, perfect. And then what do we have left? We have 3 more. So I think I had this to where I'm doing 1 more there. I'm gonna put this little ratty dude and turn his head. Put him kind of there just to take up some space. So wherever I put those, I want this above them. So let's take, this is gonna be a giant, just a back of a skull. So there, we've placed that to just be the back of a skull. We have 1 more of those, so let's turn that one upside down.
Okay.
And these
Here?
are all just, yeah, these are all just creative choices. You just kind of go in and do what you think. Now this one obviously has a lot of extra space. Let's fill this little section right here, and I'm going to stick this little guy in there.
Helps if I hold it
Yeah,
the right way.
Yeah. Or do it on this and just let it go down. Yeah, there you go. Perfect, perfect. I will say that I really love the fact that the Great Stuff Pro is orange to start with. The other stuff is yellow to start with. Not that I guess it makes a difference when you're painting it, but I don't know. I just kind of prefer the orange. Looks more
Well, I have
Halloween.
many. Yeah, I've got a lot of unpleasant memories wrapped around the yellow stuff.
Oh, really?
When I was using it in costumes. The Velociraptor head, for instance, was filled with it.
Does that get claustrophobic?
It
Are you
was-
claustrophobic?
No.
No?
But a costume like that can make you.
Look, now that kind of looks like a BB-8.
Oh. It's horrifying.
Which is a dead BB-8. So, all right. So I think that's probably. Why don't we just keep using this can and fill in some of this areas now that we have.
Sure.
That we have them in the place where we want them. So anywhere you see a big patch of white, let's put in a little bit more of that. Now these cans don't go as far as you would think they would. So that is going to be the most expensive part of your project, is going to be the great stuff.
I don't want to cover up that rat too
yeah,
much.
definitely don't cover up my rat. But it's okay if you, I mean, if it's, yeah, you got to stick them in there good, so that's good. Like I said, that's why I like the idea of the Pro better, because I can stop and start and it's not wasted. And again, this can this size is probably the same price as one of the smaller cans with the non-reusable tip. Squirt me in here. And so something we were talking about earlier, if you want your great stuff to cure a little faster, use some just clear clean water in a spray mister and just kind of mist your great stuff. And this helps it activate faster. Apparently it needs moisture to activate. So if you're in a really dry climate like we are in California, which is a desert, although it rained last night, which was amazing.
You would expect it to be a lot thicker right now.
I know, but so that's why we use the water. So in here, I think that looks good. Let's let's squirt a little bit more around the rat, and then let's get our borders.
Okay.
And you just kind of play this by ear. Just kind of look at your platform and see. Once this is all cured, we're going to go back in and fill in even more great stuff in there. Get me in that between there too, a little. Good. And get my corners or my edges closer to the skulls if you can.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, it is amazing what a difference this makes. Now, I honestly wish we had gotten the disaster that was on camera, because it was pretty funny, actually. Now, I'm sure Scott doesn't feel that way, but it was pretty funny. Get in between the little skulls there if you can.
Oh, that's one of the holes.
Yeah, that's okay, though. They're going to have to be filled eventually anyways.
Okay.
But this, I mean, this is so much better. So much more control. This is amazing. Get between here if you can. And one can seems to be going pretty far.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like we're getting towards the end.
Yeah,
Get my edge here if you can. Can you see where you're, yeah, there you go, against the skull. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, the previous can did not last quite as much, but that's partly because it was spraying out the sides of the can.
Get our edges there. Yeah, it was cray-cray. I'm just saying. I really, really wish we had gotten that on camera. That was all the things you don't want to happen. Spray me right here under there so I can use that as glue. I'm using this as glue for the most part. So glue and filler, that looks pretty good. Yeah. Get me right here. Good. So after all of this cures, probably later today, I'm going to go back through and start filling in all of the holes and gaps and things like this to seal them, because when it does rain in California, the water will get trapped inside if I don't have them sealed, and I don't want that to happen. Now you'll see here, like in a couple of places, we've got some on these skulls, and you'll see when we're done painting and everything, that's not going to make a difference. It's not going to show. And it also, on these plastic skulls, you can kind of just flick it off after it's dried. So if you don't want it on there, you don't have to have it. But it honestly kind of, in my opinion, adds to the effect.
It makes it more grotesque.
Yeah, because it looks like there's like, you know, bird poop or whatever, you know, although I guess there's not a lot of birds in the catacombs. It'd be a really lost bird.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't understand. I flew
trees?
south and here's where I ended up. Yeah, so we'll go back in and fill all that out. So I'm pretty happy with the way this is looking. As you'll see from our other videos when we did our skull arch, we went in afterwards and put in moss and plant life and all sorts of other things in here after we painted. I may or may not do that with this because I don't want this to be that green, because it's supposed to be in a crypt and the Crypt Keeper. So I want it to stay mostly in black and brown tones, more like a, you know, like the underground catacombs.
Yeah.
So I probably won't go through and put in that much, but I do have some like brown mosses and things like that that I'll go in and put in. This is going to look completely different once it's painted out, and hopefully we'll get to do some of that today. This stuff should be cured in a couple of hours, so when we come back from our lunch break, we will probably... This is fun. We will probably see if we can't start painting some of this out and try and get that done and on camera for you today as well. So, Scott, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I wish I was good as this sprayer as you are with that one.
So what we learned was basically that little red tab needs to be open.
It needs to be open, and make sure that the threads are entirely lined up, because they may not have been. It was hard to tell once it started squeezing out of the sides. It was impossible to see what was what.
Bring a towel, and don't panic. That's
and use
basically
gloves.
It. Yep. All right, we'll go on and move on to our next one.
Okay, great.
Hi, and welcome back to Key and Craig's. Once again, I have Scott Noack with me, stepping in for Craig, who is busy at work today. We have now gotten our desk pieces put together. The great stuff has gone off completely. It's nice and hard and dry, and it's foamed up as much as it's going to. So we're going to get ready to paint it, and in order to do that, I'm just going to put a base coat on everything to start. So that we get everything from the great stuff to the skulls, basically just all one color. And then I build from there. Now, I just use spray paint. I know it's a lot of people like to use house paints or whatever, but I have found that spray paint is just quick and easy. And again, for as far away as things are, it doesn't need to be perfect. The color I've chosen for this is the same color that I used on our skull arch that we did. It's a nutmeg color. This is a satin. I've gum in my mouth. I probably shouldn't have gum in my mouth, but I just keep chewing. This is a satin. You can use anything. You can use a flat, you can use a satin, you can use a gloss, whatever you want to use. It's all basically going to look the same once we've detailed everything and brushed over it with a black anyways. I have that color, and then I also have a little bit darker brown, which I will probably use on one or two of the skulls for their base paint, just to give it a little bit of variation. And then after we've done that, if there's time, we'll go back through and start putting in some of the aging with the black in the water. You've seen us do that in our other video. Craig and I went into a lot of detail as to how we aged and washed out the paints and dry brushed and everything like that. For today's purpose, we're running out of daylight, so we're just going to try and get our base coats on everything today, and then I will probably take these inside and work on them myself to finish them out. Now, the important thing to note, though, is if you're going to use spray paint,
Again.
airplane, I know, every single time. If you're going to use spray paint on styrofoam, Be careful not to spray the actual styrofoam itself. It's not going to hurt the great stuff, it's not going to hurt the plastic, but it will eat away at the actual styrofoam, and especially the cheaper. Wow, that's like an old-fashioned biplane. It's like we're in the middle of World War II here.
And even worse, there's a bird.
That bird has been cussing something out for
Yeah.
like an hour now. That is one angry bird.
I know.
So, anyways, the cheaper styrofoam that you get at the hardware store or whatever, that will completely get eaten alive by your spray paints. So you want to be careful not to spray it on the styrofoam itself. Now, the places where the great stuff hasn't gone all the way to the edge, that's okay. That's not going to hurt it that bad to spray it there. But if you're going to do a large surface, you really don't want to use the spray paint. And when I'm done, when we've done all this, I'll probably take this inside and I'll go over this with just a regular outdoor house paint, just with a paintbrush and a house paint. There's a lot of really good outdoor house paints that you can use, and you can find them trick, tip, whatever, hardware stores. If you, I don't know what I'm trying to say. What am I trying to say?
I don't know, but
it's a tip and a trick.
That sounded good.
Pro tip trick.
There you go.
There, okay. Although semi-pro. Semi-pro tip trip. Trip. I don't know. Anyways, if you go to a hardware store, check their reject area in their paint department. They almost always have big gallons of house paints that are in like neutral tones that someone didn't want or rejected, and you can get your really premium house paints that are normally like $30-40 for a gallon for like $9 at Home Depot. So every time I go to a hardware store, and it doesn't matter what I'm there for, I always go by the paint area and check their discounted section, their reject paint area. And if I see colors I know I'm going to use, like grays or browns or black colors, those kind of things, I always snatch those up and bring them home for $9, and then I just.
That's a really good.
I mean, they last forever. That's a good trip tip.
It is. It is. I hadn't even thought about that.
A semi-pro tip trick. That's what I'm trying to say. It's the planes. They're messing with my brain. Okay. Anyways, shall we get started on this?
Sure.
We're each just going to take a can and just start spraying. The only thing you don't have to really spray is obviously your doodads. Now, if you get paint on them, it's not going to matter. I mean, whatever, we'll just paint over it, it doesn't matter. My skull, whatever, but I basically just do a base coat on everything, and then we'll go back through and do a squirt in each eye with the black, and then that's our base coat, and then I go from there.
All right.
Ooh, now it's the sound of.
Yeah, it's going to play hell with the microphones. Doesn't matter what I say.
I
no
know,
one
it
can hear
doesn't,
it.
really? I'm pretty sure that, I know what Lee's watching right now. Lee's my boyfriend. None of the guys in my videos are my boyfriends. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, fine.
You still got more shaking to do?
Yep, I'm good.
Got our first coat on. A nice, good, thick coat. Everything's coated now. I went ahead and just did the sides a little. They're not going to show, but this styrofoam is so heavy duty that I don't think, it doesn't seem to be eating it that much.
No.
So I think it's going to be okay. The styrofoam balls that we used for skulls, it is eating them a little bit, but it actually adds to that texture, so I'm okay with that. It actually looks pretty good on there. Oh, look at that. It's kind of, he's got little freckles on his face or whatever.
No, it
That's
looks
from the,
disgusting.
Yeah, it's from that other stuff we used. So, all right, so we have our base coat on both of these pieces. So we're going to go ahead and put our base coat on there. But before we do, I just want to show you real quick the black paint. And again, you can use gloss, you can use flat satin, whatever you want to use. So what I do now, just for my base, is I go in and I just boom, 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 boom. Into every eyeball, I just Put a little black. Into every eyeball, a black
Okay.
must come. I don't know what that is from.
I don't know, but it sounds historical.
It does
and
sound
everything.
good, doesn't it? And if you miss it a little bit, it's not going to matter, because when you go back and we dry brush the details on there, all that's going to matter is that the inside is black. We'll coat everything else. So I'll go through and I'll do that to the eyes, and then if they have a really deep nose hole, I'll do it into the nose hole as well. But not all of them have a really deep nose hole, so right now my hands are getting tired. So this spray, even just like pushing this button to spray black into these eyeballs, is like almost more strength than I have.
It's superhuman is what it is.
So
Do you want me to do some?
yes, I definitely do. So anyways, you can kind of see, and you can see from our from the GoPro view, I'm sure, but that is basically what the beginnings of our skull, it's actually upside down or sideways. The other, I was thinking sideways right now. I think that's the right way up. That's the beginning of what our desk is going to look like. So this is a side panel and a side panel. I still have a ton to do on this as far as painting goes, and as far as adding moss and greenery and details and everything else. But if you saw our other skull wall that we did, our skull arch, it's basically the exact same concept. That's how it's going to look. This one isn't going to be as green. I'm not doing these with as much greenery because I feel like these are more in a crypt, so they'd be aged and dirty, not have a lot of greenery and vines and stuff growing in them like the other ones did, because the other ones were a cemetery. So anyways, that's basically it. I'm just going to keep going on these, and we'll start working on the next one, and I will shoot some videos when it's all done. And as I'm painting it in the other room, I'll just do some inserts to kind of show you just the progress after I do each layer. Like I said, we're running out of sunlight here, so we're gonna have to call it a night. But great day.
Yeah.
It was a great
It's a
day. We
very
got
good
everything done that I wanted to get done. These look great. We learned some new stuff,
We definitely learned something.
which was fun. We learned some new stuff about great stuff.
Oh,
Nice. See what I did there? See
Oh.
what I did there? Anyways, I want to thank you again, Scott, for coming out and helping
Thanks
me
for
with this
having me.
today. Shout out to our boy Craig. Try to get some rest, Craig. I know it's crazy for you right now. Miss you, and you would be having so much fun with us right now, I know, but I appreciate you letting us have all of these guest participants come in and help craft with us. So like, subscribe, I say that all the time. Please do that. It's very important to us that we get our videos out there, and that's the only way to do it. And we hope you've enjoyed this Key and Craig's.
Thank you.
Thanks.